Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, listeners of Eco TV International, both at home and abroad. My name is Larry Sise, and with me is my colleague Lamin Mane. We are back on our usual Thursday morning chat with viewers and Gambians to discuss the burning issues facing the country. As we have been promising you for the last couple of weeks, we are now going to shift our focus from looking at all the rot that is going on in our government in terms of corruption and malfeasance. We are going to shift gear a little bit, and we'll be talking to you about what UDP is going to be doing about those issues. And this is why we are going to call this season 2 the UDP's social contract with Gambians. I think we all know what a social contract is. It is actually a framework in which we are going to lay out what it is that we are going to be promising Gambians, what it is that we are going to be doing as a UDP government when we come to power. Now, it is going to be, as usual, the format will remain. We do aspects of it in English, other aspects in the local languages. And in Mandinka, UDP's social contract with Gambians basically is UDP la Hido, Gambian only. Lamin will deal with the Wolof part, and we are working on the fuller side of things. Let me stop there. And oh, by the way, we are going to be focusing this season 2 on our 2 penultimate documents, our 5 points agenda and our manifesto. Now, these documents were actually done, finalized, and launched on the 1st of August, 2021. But they are even more salient today than they were in August 2021. What we are going to be doing is to tweak aspects of it, to catch the realities of the last 5 years, and then we are going to be presenting the same ideas to you, the public and the voting population. So our second season is going to be based on the UDP's 5-point agenda and the manifesto and the social contract we are going to undertake with Gambians on it. Thank you. Lamin.
Yes, thank you very much, Larry. First of all, thank you all. Welcome to the program again, The Gambia We Want. And thank you to all of those listening to us from abroad, from within the country, and thank you for welcoming us into your homes. We will be entering a second phase of our programming, as Larry just said, where we will now be focusing on what UDP will do when we get to government, in the short term, in the medium term, and in the longer term. So we are happy to be back, and we'll be discussing those with you, because we'll not only criticize what the government is doing, we'll continue to criticize and call them out when they do wrong, which they do all the time anyway. But we'll also focus a lot more on what we will do to give the Gambians a different take on what's happening in the country. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Lamin. Now, our social contract with Gambians will be based on the realities of the last 8 years. These are 8 years, by all accounts, 8 years of wanton corruption, entrenched systemic corruption, and incompetence. You remember we told you many times that the 5 characteristics of the Barrow administration are incompetence, indifference, corruption and impunity, and ethnic identity, ethnic politics. These have not changed. It's the style that has changed. But it underlines the fact that the incompetence is there, the corruption is there, and it's just been done slightly differently depending on who they want to discover them. So we are saying corruption is the greatest betrayal of the public trust. When people vote for politicians, put them in office, and the politician turns around and becomes corrupt to the core, you are basically betraying the public trust. But we all know betrayal is synonymous with this crowd. The fact that the way they left the UDP, the way they set up their party, all marks betrayal. The public trust has been betrayed. Now, aside from the betrayal of our public trust, impunity is the driving force behind that betrayal. Impunity. Now, a lot of things are happening which should not have happened if there is respect for the rule of law, if there is respect for the rights of individuals in terms of when you arrest them, you detain them, and the period in which they are detained and are released. So impunity is a driving force behind this corruption. So in essence, what UDP is saying is that leadership is all about integrity, 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 and ethics. If a leader lacks integrity, if a leader lacks ethics, nothing works. And we are experiencing it all over the country, not just one part of the country, all over the country. Because of the lack of integrity and ethics and the entrenched systemic corruption, the country is in decline. In fact, it's in rapid decline. Yeah. Corruption is rampant. Poverty is crushing families and their morale. The healthcare services are collapsing. Prices are unbearably high. And Gambians' dignities are being eroded. There is nothing worse than to be a human being and your dignity is eroded because of poverty, because of lack of access to healthcare, lack of access to education. So healthcare services are collapsing. So are the agricultural sector, the education sector. All these sectors are collapsing because they are not a priority for this government. It's one thing to say verbally, it's my priority. But when you come to allocate resources to these sectors, it becomes a totally different thing. And I will just give you one example of that. The current budget that has been submitted to Parliament and is under review, in that 2026 budget, only 9.89% of the budget, which is equivalent to $20.3 billion, is devoted to the development of the welfare of Gambians.
It's less than that.
It's less than that, yes. Yeah. 9.89% of the total allocation.
It's under 10 billion.
For the GLF, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, the rest is allocated to recurrent expenditures, which is basically running the country. So if you have such a lopsided allocation of resources, you cannot beat your chest to say, I am developing my people, because you don't have the resources to develop them. Yeah. Now, the next point I wanted to make, and then I will give it to Lamin, is that amidst all of these things, the cost of living is unbearably high for average Gambians. Gambians are going to bed hungry. They are going to attack us for saying this, but those of you who have families, those of you who are watching this program, you know how much you spend daily just to eke out a living. Yeah. Gambians are suffering. The prices are too high. The prices, commodities are not accessible to everybody in quantities that would sustain them. And it's all because of corruption. It's all because they have allowed 5 different business entities to control what comes into this country by way of importing these materials. And they have given them our tax money. We told you $200 million was given to 10 companies. We told you also that the kind of currency swap that took place, the loans that they are taking, honestly, you don't see them. Yeah. You have no idea where these resources are being invested in. Maybe invested in their pockets. In themselves. Yeah. But average Gambians are suffering because these are issues that are of utmost importance to Gambians. Now, the best way one would think, practical way one would think in terms of addressing this, is to invest maximally in our agricultural sector, in our health sector, in our education sector, so that people can eat. When they get sick, they can get good medical care, etc., etc. Yeah. That is not happening. So we are going to be basing this second season of our podcast to these issues. And we are going to also add the kinds of reforms that we are going to be undertaking as stipulated in the 5 points agenda and the manifesto. These are economic reforms, constitutional reforms. We told you it's our lahido, it's our social contract that the first thing a UDP government is going to do is to bring back the 2020 draft constitution. Reforms in the area of respect for the rule of law, security sector reforms, and honestly, personal safety and security. People are feeling less safe in their homes than they have been just a few years ago. Burglaries are a daily occurrence. When you look at social media, people are breaking into people's homes. And that is because there is serious youth unemployment. There is also a lack of resource distribution equally among the various sectors of the society. In other words, those in power are having it really good. And those of us who are on our own are struggling, especially the young people, the farmers, the women folk. These are struggling on a day-to-day basis. And under normal circumstances, this is how governments lose elections. But we also told you that they are going to lose this election, and they know it. But what they are banking on is what they are doing. They are giving ID cards to people outside of the country, and you have no idea who those ID cards are being given to. You have a situation where the Ministry of Health is among the team that went to Guinea-Bissau to issue these ID cards. What is the Ministry of Health's role in issuing ID cards?
Birth certificates.
If not to issue birth certificates, so you can get an ID card, you get an ID card, you get a voter's card. Yeah. You get a voter's card, you come and vote. Yeah. So Gambians need to know these guys, this team, they will either steal this election, buy the election, or rig the election.
At least they will attempt.
At least they will attempt to do that. But those three things.
We won't let them do it.
It's left to Gambians to say, yes, they can do these three things, or no, they can't. I think any Democrat anywhere must submit to the will of the people. You cannot subvert the will of the people by extra administrative means. And what are these extra administrative means? It's just what they are doing in Guinea-Bissau, what they have done in Gabon, what they have done in Mauritania, and God knows where else. Yeah. The will of the Gambian people must be respected. And in order for that to be respected, our leaders have to respect the rule of law. They have to go by what Gambians want, and that is to get rid of a corrupt, inept, inefficient government. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Very good points you've raised there, and this is what the Gambians need to be aware about. They need to be aware of all of these things, and they need to be aware that this country's future is in their hands, and it's going to be what we want it to be. If we choose to fight corruption, if we choose to put an end to Barrow's government's maladministration of this country, if we choose to make sure that the malfeasance, the impunity, and especially the corruption that it facilitates, if we make sure that that ends, then the Gambia has a very good chance of developing really fast. But if we cut our nose to spite our face, we are in trouble. We cannot see the wrongdoing in this government and continue to vote for them because they are from the same region or from the same ethnic group or from the same whatever. No. No, we should look at the government. Are they delivering for the Gambian people? Are they doing what the social contract between any government and its citizens require them to do? Are they doing that? If they are doing it, fine, vote for them. But if they are not doing it, if they are impoverishing a wealthy country, get rid of them before it's too late. We keep saying the Gambia is not poor. It is being impoverished by Barrow and his administration. It is being impoverished by people who think that this country belongs to them, and they are the only ones who live in dignity, in wealth, etc. These guys are living in wealth that is just indecent. When the bulk, the majority, the vast majority of Gambians are living in abject poverty. These are people who drive cars that cost $12.25 million. These are people who are spending minimum $70,000 to $80,000 a month on fuel alone for those cars. These are people who are traveling all over the world and just accumulating per diems and whatnot, drawing salaries over $200,000 a month when they have everything free. Yet the average Gambian, by their own admission, is on a basic salary of, minimum salary of $6,000 a month.
Yep.
$6,000 a month in the Gambia, what do you do with that? Anybody who goes to the market today with less than $500 a day, you will be very hard-pressed to provide a decent meal for your family. Now, if you take even $300 a day to the market, that is $9,000 a month just for going to the market.
Yep.
That doesn't include the cost of the rice. That doesn't include the house that you have to pay for because most probably you are renting. That doesn't include electricity, water bills, education, transportation, etc. So how does anybody on a salary of $6,000 a month live decently in this country? Yeah. Yet the government and their friends around them are living it up big. People are drawing salaries of more than $200,000 a month. And the travel and all that goes with it is netting them minimum $300,000 to $500,000 a month. How do you think those people will understand the plight of the Gambian people? Yeah. They don't care. They don't care. All they care about is themselves. That's why the budget this year is spending over $30 billion in running the government. Mm-hmm. Basically, translating into what? Taking care of a few privileged people. Mm. The civil service of the Gambia is less than 50,000 people. And even those civil servants, the vast majority of them are on just salaries that are working poor salaries. They are working, but they are poor. When you go to Banjul every morning, you see loads of people along the road trying to get a lift to Banjul. They can't even afford to pay transportation to go to work. Yep. When they finish work, it's the same thing. Because the salaries they have barely manage to put food on the table for their families, and that usually is 1 meal a day. So how do they pay for transportation? They look for lifts to go to work. So they get to work late, etc., etc. Yet that can be solved easily by this government, including putting in place proper public transport systems where you have enough buses in the city and in the intercity for people to travel to work at affordable prices. Yep. That is possible. It is possible to reduce the wastage, the pilferage and the corruption in the government and raise salaries for Gambians to live decently. But what do we see in the 2026 budget? They want to spend over $30 billion. That's more than 60% of the budget is going to pay what? Salaries and perks for a few privileged people in the country. When the vast majority of the Gambians just starve to death or just manage to put one meal a day on the table for their families. We have a debt that is going to cost us over $13 billion next year.
Yeah. In service payments.
And starting next year, most of the payments that have been in abeyance will mature. So from next year, we'll have serious debt payment obligations to meet. So the 13 billion is just a starting point for paying off debt. And who racked up that debt? Barrow and his people. I was going through my books again this past week, checking the debt. Larry, what I found is astonishing.
It's mind-boggling.
What I had before was about $130 billion.
Yeah.
What I came up with is at least $142 billion debt.
And they are reporting it's
110
billion.
Yeah.
When actually it's around 140.
Minimum $142 billion was what I found. And even that I don't think is exhaustive. And of course that excludes the hidden debt.
Yeah.
So what we are looking at is a government that has racked up between 2017 and 2025, in 9 years, they have racked up over $90 billion in debt. Almost twice what Jammeh and Jawara had accumulated in 51 years.
Yeah.
In 9 years, they have racked up the double of that. And we have virtually nothing to show for it except some poorly constructed, overpriced roads.
Yeah.
And they want to continue that phenomenon. And they want to continue impoverishing the Gambian people. So this is why we have so much money going to running the government. It's salaries, it's travel, it's per diem for people leaving this country. It's for organizing seminars and all sorts of wastage in this country. And on top of that, you have all what you call the tenderpreneur coming in and enriching themselves on the back of the Gambian people. So how long are we going to continue with this? This country is virtually insolvent today. And a government that doesn't care. This is the government that is putting us in even more debt. And that $142 billion that I found does not include the $75 million currency swap with Afrexim Bank, which is over $5 billion. It doesn't include the $200 million that they've given to business people, which is also $200 million, which again is about, $14.7 billion. So those two together is about $20 billion. I didn't include those because they are contingent liabilities. Yeah. But that contingent liability can easily become a liability for the government, a sovereign liability. So if you add that to $142 billion that I came up with, we are looking at over $170 billion in debt for this country. And a government which is racking up such kinds of debt today is bragging to us, telling that they are developing this country. Doing what? We see every ministry in this country is riddled with corruption. And it starts at the president's office.
Yeah, starts at the top.
And on top of that, they are selling off all our assets, or they are mortgaging them, or they are concessioning them out. Gamtel is on the chopping block for sale. Yeah. The port has been concessioned. The airport is on the verge of being concessioned. Senegambia Bridge has been mortgaged. Yeah. Nawek is going to go. And the Groundnut Council, what was the Gambia Oilseeds Marketing Board, has been privatized.
Civil aviation is
being destroyed and replaced with Nero, etc., etc., etc. It's a litany of woes in what is happening in this country. And yet all that this government can think about is how do we increase that budget so that we can take even better care of ourselves. And civil authorities are sitting there behaving like they are some military junta from somewhere who think they can run the country like they wish. Well, for your information, this is still a democratic country and people vote. And they're going to vote you out next year. And you will all be accountable for your wrongdoing. Like today we're seeing in social media that the managing director of the port is somewhere in Dakar on medical treatment and took some leave of absence. And that is going to be sued in court for economic crimes.
For a measly $20 million.
Yeah, exactly. Is that just a way of trying to drown fish? Because we're talking about corruption, so you want to throw a few people under the bus? Yes, you should try them. Yes, you should bring them to court. Yes, you should recover the monies they have embezzled or for embezzle of means which were embezzled under their watch. You should do that. But the amount is not $20 million. It's far more than that in ports. Even the amount of $200 million that was embezzled by people who were working in the port under his watch, which they said is now down to, I think, $2 million or something like that. They're trying to just brush it all under the carpet. Even that amount is more than 10 times what they're suing him for.
Yep.
The amount of $4 billion that was given in tax and duty waivers at the port, he should account for that too. The amount of money that we are losing at the Gambia port today to Alport and Alberak, who didn't do anything apart from bringing in rational, prudent management. They didn't invest anything. And this is a company they said was going to invest tens of millions of euros into this port. Money they don't even seem to have.
They are borrowing.
Because they went to a bank, local bank, to borrow money to invest in this country, and they were trying to use our infrastructure. Or at least other assets. They claim it's not the infrastructure, it's the assets that they are bringing in, movables into the port. Whatever the case, it is assets that belong to the country. And they're trying to use that now to borrow against that. Yet they tell us these people are very solvent, they are going to invest money. They don't even have the money to invest. Why can't the Gambia government raise that money on the money markets like all of these people that invested in our ports? If Alberak can go and try to raise that kind of money on the 20 million euros on the currency markets and in the banks to invest in the country, how come a country with sovereign guarantee possibilities cannot raise that kind of money on the money markets and invest in our ports?
Yeah, but Lamin, the penultimate question ought to be, why even lease out the port to
Alberak?
To Alberak. Yes. This is a profitable port, has always been profitable.
Exactly.
And the fact that Alberak is looking for local sources of money basically means what we've been saying is what is going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, especially the revenue sharing part of it, the famous 96% to Alberak, 4%
to the Gambia.
To the Gambia.
Yeah.
Who in their right minds will sign a contract like that?
Yeah, yeah.
For your country.
Exactly, for your country.
For your country.
Yeah.
Now, this is where sometimes I sit in my corner and I really question the patriotism of our people. Because you cannot sign a lopsided contract like that.
To all intents and purposes, these people are not at all patriotic. Barrow and his government, patriotism and them are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you can't tell me that a government which is headed by people who are paid so handsomely to run a government can turn around against their own government and sign such Leonian contracts which are so detrimental to the country and its well-being. And yet you have no qualms about that. And you turn around and tell, that's the way the world is going these days, it's everywhere, it's private sector coming in. Give me a break.
This PPP.
The private sector is composed of the same people we have in the public sector. The They are people with competencies and skills. Run those the French have an expression I like very much, when they describe those. They call them entreprise publique and intérêt commercial. These are public enterprises. They call them the EPICs, entreprise publique industrielle à caractère commercial. So these are public enterprises which should be run like private entities. And headed by people who have the skills to run them as private entities. NAWEC, GAMTEL, GAMCEL, the port, the airport, etc., should be run like what the French call EPICs, like commercial entities, public entities with a commercial outlook.
Making profits.
Making profits and paying dividends to government. That was what NAWEC was doing. I keep quoting Bakary Ndiaye and his team at the time. They were doing that admirably. Captain Salah and his people at the port.
Yeah.
They were doing it admirably.
Yeah. Even Jagannath's time in the 1990s.
Yeah. If you look at what was happening in social security when they ran it to the ground, they brought Muhammad Manjang and he turned it around. The Gambia Petroleum, same thing. It was making huge losses. They brought this Barrow guy who was with Standard Bank Nairobi. They brought him in and he turned it around. Yeah. Yeah. And each time they turned it around, they fired him. Yaya Barrow, that's right. Each time they turn them around, they fire them and bring in other people to loot the assets that are now being produced by those governments, by those entities, because somebody turned them around. So these are the things that are happening in this government. And it's going to get worse, as the audit reports are showing. If you look at the audit reports of 2018, 19, and 20, and you look at where we lost about 11 billion, and you look at the audit reports of the subsequent 3 years, 21, 22, 23, where the losses were multiplied by 10, decoupled, multiplied by 10. What is it going to be if we leave it until 2020, beyond 2026?
Yeah.
So this is what the Gambians are faced with. The choice is ours. 2026 is an existential issue for the Gambia. And all Gambians must realize that we have to rescue our country. And the way to rescue our country is to get rid of Barrow and his government in 2026. Bring in a new government. And that new government, as of now, can only be a government led by UDP. Let's do that and save this country. If UDP does not perform, which I can assure you will never happen, UDP will perform beyond expectations. What if by chance we do not perform? Vote us out. You are the people who have the power. You own this country. You are the ones who put people in place to run this country in your name. Any government should work at your pleasure. Any government that doesn't perform that duty, it is your prerogative to get rid of them and do somebody else. Barrow has been there for 9 years. It's going to be 10 years next year with his team. And all we have had was rampant corruption.
Nepotism.
Ethnicity. Incompetence, and ethnic politics. Get rid of them. Bring in a new government and let us change this country's fortunes while we can. While we can. Beyond this point, we might not be able to do it.
Yeah.
But we still can. If you bring in the right government, we can still arrest the situation and turn it around. And I know UDP can do that. And they give us that opportunity. In 5 years, you would have said, why didn't we do this earlier?
Yeah.
And we're going to focus now on what we'll do and how we will do it when we get to government.
Good.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay. Now we are going to be saying one of the or the key planks of UDP's governance structure will be A, bringing back the constitution, the draft constitution for 2020.
Yeah.
That is the people's constitution. We're going to bring it back. The party leader has made a commitment. Various structures of the party have endorsed that commitment. The second one is to have zero tolerance for corruption, meaning all the pilferage that you are seeing from the auditor's reports to social media, we're going to say no to corruption. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
We will not tolerate corruption, and we will not shield our members from prosecution if they act in a corrupt way. Yeah. No member is immune.
Absolutely.
We intend to invest. When you look at the budget for 2026 and prior years, 60% of our budgets are allocated to running the country. We're going to have to turn that around.
Absolutely.
To shift all those resources from running the country administratively to investing in sectors like health, agriculture, education, and youth and women's empowerment. These are the social contracts that UDP has undertaken to make with Gambians.
Larry, if you spend more than 25% of your budget
on
administrative
expenditures,
you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah. So this is the social contract we are going to take, and I'm told the time is, we have a time constraint, but let us just run through the 5 points agenda to remind our listeners before we go into the local languages, to say 5 points. Agenda number 1 is youth employment, youth empowerment. Agenda number 2, education and skills training. Agenda number 3, agriculture and nutrition, basically food security, or what we call food sovereignty. Yeah. And agenda number 4 is the health sector. How do we revamp the health sector? By the way, the Minister of Health was on Coffee Time 2 weeks ago, and he's denying there is no corruption at the Ministry of Health when the Auditor General has released a forensic audit saying differently. Yep. And then he's also denying that they don't have a shortage of anything when people are going on social media asking for blood, blood bags, and how do you call it? Surgery gloves and
protective gear.
Protective gear.
I understand. So we've learned that they have said that people working in the ministry, if ever they come out to complain about those things, they should take down their names and they will be sanctioned. Yeah.
He basically was threatening them, on a public platform.
Yeah. What kind of government is that?
So these are some of the social contracts we are going to commit to Gambians. And the 5th one is the energy and
IT sector.
ICT, information communications technology sector. So we are going to deal, each one of these 5 points will devote a program to, so that in about a month or 2 we'll be through with the 5 points agenda. And then we can go into the nitty-gritty of how do you put the meat on the 5 points agenda. Let me make something very clear, Lamin, and our listeners. This 5 point agenda and the manifesto, it took us 2 years to formulate. Yeah. And it was done by a multidisciplinary team of sector-specific specialists. Those who are now criticizing this were part of
exactly
that formulation process.
Yeah.
But you know what stood out? You cannot trace any one word to them. So it took us 2 years to do this manifesto and its 5 point agenda.
Because this is serious work.
Yeah. The point I want to make is that the 5 points agenda, the way UDP designed it, is to say for the first 100 years of a UDP presidency, when Dabo is president 5 years, for the first 100 days, these are the 5 key areas that we are going to focus on as low-hanging fruits to pluck and to deliver to Gambians. Now, while we are doing that, these are the priorities for the first 100 days. We actually have a 100-day strategy that came with the 5 points agenda to say, for the first 100 days, this is what UDP is going to deliver. I don't think there is any social contract stronger than that.
Yeah.
It is a strong social contract. And naming this second year thing to our UDP social contract with Gambians was born out of the formulation of this 5 points agenda. So don't listen to the queries that they are making. The 5 points agenda is our priorities for the first 100 days. If you really want to look at the meat of what we intend to do in a very exhaustive way, take each section of these 5 points, go to the manifesto. You don't have to be lazy about it. Go to the manifesto, look at it, and you will see fantastic things there that we intend to do. Yeah. This is our Lahido, this is our social contract to Gambians, and these are our Lahido to Gambians.
Also to clarify, these are the points which we will start our work in those first 100 days. Naturally, the amount of work that is required to fully deliver on those will not be attained in the first 100 days, but this is what we're going to launch in those 400 days and give them priority. Because we've got to educate our kids. Because these are the future of the country, and we keep saying if you want to destroy a country, start by destroying the education sector. Yeah. So we're going to rebuild the education sector and make sure that our kids have the education that they need to be able to take this country to the next stage and to make the Gambia competitive. And we're going to have to give them jobs and skills training to be able to use that education they've acquired to create jobs for themselves and to do that. So we're going to launch that. We're going to put in money. We put our money where our mouth is. We're going to do that. Agriculture is trailing and is failing.
Yep.
We're going to turn it around and give more money to agriculture. So we'll buy equipment, agricultural appliances, we'll buy improved seeds, fertilizers, etc., and start working and start building the industrial base for processing the agricultural produce and making them sellable to the external world with a high value addition. We will make sure that our health sector is worth calling a health sector. Yeah. We will be able to take care of the health of the Gambian people. So again, we're going to move a lot of resources into the health sector. We're going to train Gambians to work in this health sector. We're going to make sure that we have the equipment that we need, the hospitals and the facilities, so that we don't have to put $60 million aside to go get treatment abroad when people are sick in the government. That money will be invested here. We will do the same thing regarding energy. We wouldn't be signing contracts with other countries and other structures outside to bring us electricity when we can produce it here, cheaper. We will work on the IT sector to be able to produce what we need in this country to make internet cheaper, to create IT incubation hubs, to create jobs for the youth, to be able. We will do all of that. We're going to start it in those 100 days. Some will be achieved very quickly. Others will take a bit longer. But these are the priorities. Yeah. There are other priorities that are coming in the 55 years of our government. But these are the key sectors in which we will focus attention.
Okay. They are signaling that we are running out of time. So let's say something in the local languages.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Mbading men ben lamoy kang antelam Larry Cissé ning lamin kafnyoma lamin mane murtanan kal kachandi UDP planol men dada pruka banko sambanyato o planolu na 5-point agenda anin na manifesto 5-point agenda wala munyin dula lulo me alonko UDP ya itandi ko ninga mansakundata mbe wolle folo do kula ko dula lulo mumuneti ka funding kewol ni musol sembentu yande ka na jaral dula fanan sembentu ndiyandi ke bambandi yalo wati sotota molka bo nyin West Africa banku dol kanne kana na loptanol to jam wo botale sain to lekata dulal to taring puruka tanjara yo ni wo bota je agriculture mbe menkela agriculture yalon te katula folal nte bota kudan lamin fanam bota kawrnim ñoomi ni Gambia jibe kabo jareng kata kudan kuntawr jahali pacar wo lebulo damman si Gambia balundi no ni tata ñing ba koto dola kawru mafan la kata kuntawr is the same
ke wonan kuntawru
pancang
kawur
wol be
balangar
kana fo farafeñ nsim fandañi nin nola bari nga mansa kunda soto me alonko ni ye budgeto dada budgeto asinya atalanya taworo be kata ibe mansa kunda tamande la men keme taworo wote fenti membe tulaje wote mola hajo jara nola sako ka banko dada safe ni budgeto dada 60% talanya taworo be kata mansakunda nyanta tamala men ofisol motolu ni bita tamala ila padie molu ni bita jararola yalon serum ye million taworo leke pour overseas treatment this ya malon abe kele nyame ye projection o men fa be siala hotel so UDP la lahido mumuneti mbe nyulu bolale mbe corruption o bolale nyen na nyin loi me alonko loi buko 2020 constitutional me alonko barole afa anala mansakunda mba murundi lanan katu mol lafta wolela ni o botaje corruption o membe banko kan UDP ko nte corruption o nte sonnala hani UDP dingulu ni da dunta corruption o koto loi men fo wala be kelel corruption o manyanna tinna na loptanol mantam corruption o manyanna tinna na agriculture mantam corruption o manyanna tinna na dindingul te karannolan na karambungul so mbe zero tolerance le sotola for corruption andum patio wala decide amanke bi kuti kabrim patio lota anim bitema patio katu wodron fola in a very consistent way no botaje nyaton kaya mu daji koleti ni daji ki beto soto iketa nyaton koti kuolu nyanta tamala nyame ika jele ko e tamaonya bari nanyim mansa kunda lijibe ye muneno na manke imando kuno ka fome incompetence ka fome fananko iman nyanto soto molla because ne nyanto soto molle bala fata ko dol bije bukeke mfela bola fa fola science ko social media me tande nyin somanda ko port la managing director man sakunda ko ba charge la code million mois yo kabriya yo faye ika abuta jata abe Dakar ka bita jara rola Dakar yo niol jibe isa lonko nyanta nyaton ko le soto la banko kam men ya lonko e hino soto banku dingole manyan na nyaton ko nati la men ya lonko e fangale hina ibe fangale kunye anila dimbayal ni la itermal ni la sopotal baroka wala itandi molla andala budgeto fanan ka wala itandi molla yalon katula falali en nyile julolu menta ma be fode bar na fintita nena nga falen en ko nyile julu si falta no be fintita molbe tamale singul lay nim podon e be nyinin na nyin sate o wallahi ibe tiñaro men na sembo warta so UDP ko ntol man tarawoto lafta banko la me alonko tonya e sabati hinante ya e murunan nin moye kuke me alonka manyan na kela loi e memfo weke nga loi buku kuto nati nkonte sonna corruption ola nkoni momo e corruption oke including UDP dingulu loi e memfo wala be kelela ndol tema bala loi ko mate loi même fo wala bekel agriculture fanan nyim banko safan dañi nin nol katu jawara la time ay tandi ko banko sa fandani nin nol yo ya jamela time agriculture jita domandi bar hanwo mol ke fandani nin nol bi konkole be mol la nka diama tolume albe dawda nyim banko kan nibe diaspora itele ka mol dañi nin jang nibe banko kan ni ma mosoto diaspora membe dañi nin na konkole ke muta ni sata nin alame ma koy isifa itole dingul samba private karambungul ton to laddin dingul beta kan masakunda karambungul yewoje banku wo banku ta manke banku tembere lafta banko le tembelale wala mun na lahidoti gambia nole ala baraka
Lare jërëjëf maa ngi lay sant di la gërëm te boole ci sant ak gërëm ñi ñoo seetaan li ñoo waxtaanee tey mooy li nga xam ne UDP buñ jëlee nguur gi lan lañ dig waa réew mi ak lan lañ yéenee fas yéene def pour réew mi loolu lañ bëgg a waxtaanee tey fu ñu ko mën a dooree tuuti nag balaa ñu dugg ci loolu mooy wane li tax ñu war a def loolu parce que nguur gi njublaan bi ci nekk foog mu em dafa war a em doy na boo seetee budgeti réew nga xam ne at bu nekk li ñu jël ci xaalisi naamu bi di ko dugal ci koom-koomi réew mi mooy wane yitte bi nga am ci réew mi mooy wane yéene bi nga am ci réew mi boo xoolee budget yi déwén li gaa yi nar xaw ma ndax parlement lañ leen jox yëpp na duñ leen ko jox waaye liñ nar ñoom ñu ne déwén juróom fukki milliards ak juróom-ñeneenti milliards juróom fukk ak juróom-ñeneenti milliards lañ buggal dugal ci réew mi ci budget 59 billion ci juróom fukk ak juróom-ñeneenti milliards billions yooyu noonu dinañ ci jël lu ëpp fanweeri billion maanaam fanweeri junne yi million nañ ko jël dugal ko ci ni ñoo doxalee nguur gi mooy daanaka ni ñoo sàmmee seen bopp parce que li ñu bëgg ñoom mooy sàmm seen bopp su xaalis boobu noonu boo ko xaajee téeméer juróom benn fukk ak juróom ñaar juróom benn fukk ak juróom yëpp ci li muy dugga mooy ñoom naka la ñoo toppatee seen bopp ñu ne loolu la ñoo doxalee nguur waaye lu doxalee nguur mooy li ñoo sàmmee seen bopp mooy li ñoo fay seen salaires yi li ñoo fay seen tukki yi li ñoo fay seen séminaire yeeg seen conférence yi li ñoo fay seen paj bi ñoo def dem faju ci biti yooyu dañ cee boole ñu ne loolu nañ ci téeméer bu nekk dañ ci jël juróom benn fukk ak juróom dugal ko ci loolu li ñoo dugal ci sàmm réew mi ak suñ koom-koom bi muy development budget mu tut fukki billion.
It's on the 10 billion.
On the 10 billion. loolu la gars yi fas yéene xam nga ndax parlement nañ ko jox na am déet. I hope ne parlement nañ dog li ñu war a dugal ci seen sàmm seen bopp dugal ko ci liggéeyi réew mi. so loolu boo boolee ñaar yooyu rek weesu nga juróom-ñeenti fukki billion dalasi. tax yi bor bi gaa yi jël déwén nañ jël fukki billion ak fukk ak ñetti billion dalasi pour di ko fayee bor loolu lu mu wone mooy ne bor biñ jël dafa jéggi dayoo soo waree jël nga am juróom fukk ak juróom-ñeneenti billion yi dalasi nga war ci jël fukk ak ñetti billion di ko fayee bor nga xam ne bor bi weesu jéggi na dayoo soo loolu lu ko indi mooy Yaya Jammeh bi mu fi doon jógee li mu fi bàyyi ci bor moom moo Jawara boo leen boole ci juróom fukki at ak benn liñ fi bàyyi ci bor mu ngi toll woon ñeneent fukk ak juróom benn billion yi dalasi 46 billion lañ fi bàyyi woon.
46 billion in 51 years.
waaw juróom fukki at ak benn. Barrow ak nguuram gi ci juróom-ñeenti at ñoom teg nañ ci lu ëpp juróom-ñeenti fukki billion yi dalasi.
68
daanaka li fi Jammeh ak Jawara bàyyi woon ci juróom fukki at ak benn ñoom ci juróom-ñeneenti at double nañ ko def nañ ñaari yoon lu toll loolu. ñu bàyyi fi ñeent fukk ak juróom-benn billions yi dalasis ñoom teg nañ ci lu ëpp juróom-ñeneenti fukki billions yi dalasis.
68 billion.
It's more than that because li gars yi di wax tey mooy ne suñ bor bi téeméer ak fukki billion la.
Yeah, 110.
ñu ngi doon wax ne téeméer ak fanweer lu mu néew mut na loolu waaye semaine bi passée maa ngi ci doon liggéeyaat di xool li ma gis ëpp na téeméer ak ñeneent fukk ak ñaari billions yi dalasi te loolu yokkuñ ci ñaari téeméeri millions dollar bi ñu jël lebal ko businessman yi boolewuñ ci 75 billion dalasi currency soit bi ngay jël Afrexim Bank boo ci boolee ñaar yooyu rek yu ëpp na ñaar fukki billion la soo ci boolee yoonu luñ gaa yi jël ci bor ëpp na téeméer ak juróom-benn fukki billions yi dalasi soo loolu teg nañ ci li Jammeh ak Jawara bàyyi fii juróom fukki at ak benn ñoom liñ ci teg ëpp na juróom-ñeneenti fukki billions dalasi ëpp na almost téeméeri billions dalasi lañ ci teg te ci téeméeri billions dalasi lan lañ ci gis yoon yu bon yu cher li gaa yi di samp loolu lañ ci gis sooy réer ñu bàkku rek waaw samp nañ yoon fii def nañ lële yoon yooyu ñoo xam ne yoon yu bon la te cher loolu la ñoo sampal ndig loolu fa ñoo mën a jëlee xaalis moo tax ñu sawar ci sampa yoon parce que fa lañ jublam bi gën a bëri waaye ñu ne loolu dafa doy nag loolu la audit bugg a wone woon audit wone na yooyu yëpp ñu boo ko publicité doon ko fi waxee ñu dàqaleen ñu dàqa Mout Cissé xam nga dañoo wax rek sàcca ndënde jafewul de xanaa fi nga koy tëgee
yeah.
soo loolu ci nekk ñoom sàcc nañ xaalis bi waaw mënuñ ko ñemañu kenn wax ko parce que xam ne dañoo daan buñ ko tëgee ñoom de dañoo daan
ñamañ kenn wax ko bugguñ kenn wax ko.
waaw soo ñu daxa Cissé waaye li ci nekk mooy ne nguur gi du mun a continuer nii foog ñu liggéey ci réew mi foog ñu indi xaalis bu doy ci réew mi foog ñu xam fan la suñ interest nekk ñu dugal foofu xaalis loolu la gars yi bañ a dégg nag te ñun loolu la ñoo wax te li ñuy wax mooy nguur gi doomi réew yi ñoo ko moom yéen ay fal di folli yéen a farloon Barrow 2016 ngeen bëgg ko folli 2021 mu sàcc seen victory bi nañ séntu ne 2026 sàcc moom jeex na duñ nangoote mu sàcc nañ ko folli ñu mun a suuxale suñu réew mi suux na ba pare de ñun ñoo ko suuxali léegi des na ci ñun bu ñu kenn nax loo bugg a Barrow ak nguuram gi parce que ma doon waxtaan ak kenn mu ne nguur gi soo leen neexu da nga caa bokkul non bokkuñ ci te bugguñ cee bokk bugguñ cee bokk.
bu fekkoon ne
parce que
jël alal
toog fii di yàq suñu xaalis ñun ñëpp di ko sàcc di ci dund ci yoo xam ne yelloo ko bokkuñ ci nguur goo daal bokkuñ ci te duñ ci mus a bokk nguur bi ñu bëgg a bokk ñun mooy nguur goo xam ne day liggéeyal doomi réew mi ku nekk nga am li nga yelloo waaye liñ nekkee tey nguur googu ñun bokkuñ ci déedéet wax nañ dëgg ba ko xam ne ma nguur soo nguur yi neexul da nga caa bokkul waaw dëgg la bokkuñ ci te duñ ci bokk parce que duñ bokk ci yoo xam ne day yaaxal suñu réew waaye man ne xool leen tey koo taba ci nguur gi jox ko place li mooy njëkk a def moo dem jëli doomam yi public schools yóbbu leen private school loolu lañ njëkk a def ku feebar ci famille bi kenn du fi fajooti ñu faa ngi fajoo ci biti ku nekk jënd générateur wala government jëndal la générateur ñu bàyyi tegal la ko sa kër utal la boo xool jox la moto essence bu dul jeex di nga wàcc liggéey nag jël moto bi di dox sa soxla di ci def loo xam ne sa du yoon loolu lañ fi nekkee te ñu ne loolu moo war a jeex ci réew mi koo xam ne yaa ngi liggéey ci nguur gi duñ bàyyi kenn nga yóbbu sa doom ci private school si su ko defee soo ko yóbbu public school di nga fexe ba public school si baax booy fajoo fii di nga fexe ba lopitaan yi baax buñ la aayee générateur nga xam ne soo ko bëggee yaa ko jëndal sa bopp xëy na da nga fexe ba nawet dox buñ la aayee booxool nguur la ko du la gasal booxool buñ la ko aayee di nga fexe ba nawet dox loolu lañ yéenee réew mi te loolu lañ leen digg te loolu fan lañ ko jaarale mooy suñ 5 point agenda bi suñ 5 point agenda bi lan la njëlbeen ñu ne doomi réew mi dinañ leen jàngal dañ leen jàngal jox leen jàngal bu xam ne dafay seen xam-xam day màcc ñaareel ñu jox leen liggéey joo xam ne dinañ ci mën a dund bu sell ku ci amul liggéey nguur dinañ la lebal xaalis nga mën a start sa business def loo xam ne di nga ci mën a dunda mooy skills development and youth empowerment dañ la ko jox jàngal la soo wàccee suñ la mënut a jox liggéey ñu dimbali la ci xaalis nga mën a taxawal sa bopp sa business oo lu mun a nekk pour nga mën ci dund sa bopp.
wala ñu jàngal la métier.
jàngal la métier waaw. yooyu ci jàng bi la bokk soo jàngee pare soo mënut a liggéey amuloo liggéey wut am nga am métier. ñu lebal la xaalis nga taxawal sa métier bi boo ko taxawalee di nga ci dund bu seetlee ak sa njaboot di nga ci mën a jël yeneen doomi réew mi nga ci employé leen ñu lay liggéeyal loolu lañ bëgg mooy ñaareel bi ñetteel bi ñu ne nguur goo xam ne munoo jox sa citizens ñu lekk bu doy am na loo xam ne defuloo ko soo ñun dañ daan wax food security léegi passé nañ food security dañu ne food sovereignty nga xam ne dañoo mën suñ bopp li ñoo lekk fii lañ koo liggéeyee duñ ko jëndati xam nga dañ daan wax mu njëkk na lekk bi doy na doy suñ ko jënd dañu ko jënd ci biir waaye na doy rek ñun dañu léegi ne déedéet dañoo mën suñ bopp mooy liggéey lekk boobu fii ci Gambie bi fii te mu nekk lekk boo xam ne dafa sell mooy nutrition side bi duñ la jox loo xam ne boo ko lekkee di nga am diabetes nga am high blood pressure bugguñ loolu oo mu fees ak ay hormones ak yu kenn xamut boo ko lekkee nga feebar dañ laa jox lekk bu sell te mu doy te ñu mun suñ bopp lekk bu ñu ñoo ko liggéeyee fii jiyee ko fii liggéey ko fii te mu baax sell baax ci yaram yi nit jox ko ku nekk xam naa Dramé Kunda yi moom tey ñu ngi kontaan na parce que lu ñu war a wax affaire yi lekk moom ñoom dañ kontaan tey.
du Dramé Kunda rek de.
Cissé Kunda ci lañ bokk ak Fati yi ak Jawara yi.
Mbay Kunda Kamara Kunda
baax
ak Mané Kunda yëpp a ci bokk.
soo dañ leen jox lekk bu doy lekk boo xam ne dafa sell. moom di nga lekk loo xam ne du la sonnal du la jox feebar. tey li ñoo lekk fii ci ceeb ci maalo li ci gën a bëri mu ngi fees ak starch. boo nekk di ko lekk rek balaa yàgg nga am diabetes high blood pressure ak yu mel noonu wax bu leen joxee liggéey maalo boo xam ne bu baax la fii lañ ko liggéeyee te def maalo boo xam ne dafa good quality la dañ ci def engrais yu garaaw nga xam ne daf laa feebarloo. pesticide ñoo def du bëri sax suñ ko defee lu bëri. soo di nga lekk boo xam ne dafa baax ci sa yaram gi li ci des ñu jaay ko ci biti ak beneen partie bi ñu jël ko def ci industries def processing fii locally ñun loolu lañ yéenee réew mi moo suñ ñetteeli point bi 3 point agenda 5 point agenda bi ñeneen teel bi ñu ne ku ci doomi réew yi ñëpp paj bi dafa war a baax pour ñëpp ku fi juddoo dëkk fi ak even gan yi fi dëkk ñëpp mën nañoo mën a faju ci réew mi fi am paj bu baax ci réew mi parce que mun nañ ko am nañ xam-xam bi dinañ sampal lopitaan yu doy su mel ci loolu dinañ jàngal suñu doomi réew ñu nekk spécialiste keroog man doon déglu rajo bi Peter Gomez on West Coast ñeneen ñu ko doon wax ñu ne ci réew mi am na spécialiste yoo xam ne réew mi yëpp kenn fa dee nekk. like soo jëlee orthopedic surgery marraine rek a fi nekk.
xanaa su traîner ay nit.
waaw mu ngi doon di train yenn ñu ngi doon wax pediatric surgery same thing. benn fi nekkoon ñu ngi train yenn so ñun dañoo toog nag jàngal suñu doomi réew am nañ l'hôpital medical training school. dañ jàngal suñu doom ñu gën a specialize ci yooyu. jàngal ñenn fii ñenn ñu dem jàngalee leen bitim réew suñu xarit Yankuba Gassama léegi nag moom moo yoree graduate training programme bi ku baax la jox nañ ko jox miin si rek na indi fii training programme su def ko fii so nañ jëlee spécialiste yi biti ñëw indi leen fi ñuy train suñ doom yi fi ñu nekk spécialiste na wàññi cost bi pour jàngale waaye ñu ne balaa loolu dañoo ñëw di yeneen ci biti yeneen jàngi ci biti am xam-xam bu màcc mun a faj doomi réew mi jënd jumtuwaay yu baax yu ñu soxla ci réew mi pour lopitaan yi waaye soo seetee forensic audit bi ngay def Ministry of Health nga seet li fa yàqu ci xaalis liñ fa luubal waaye nga ne sëñ bi ñii gëm nañ yàlla xanaa gëm nañ yàlla da ngay mën a tegee sa doomi réew lu mel noonu waaye nag waruñoo jaaxal parce que ministre ba moo taxawoon fii parlement xaw ma ñetti at ci gannaaw bu ñu ko falee mu ne moom ministre bi moo gën a corrupt ci réew mi soo fi mu nekk tey mu doon ñuy wax ne ministre boo gën soo yëpp xam nañ ko waaye liñ bugg rek mooy ñeneenti fànn yooyu mooy fooy point na jënd final point bi ñu tëjee foofu mooy ICT ak énergie mooy wàlli internet bi télévision bi ak yu mel noonu ICT
nawek ci loolu la feeto
mu ngoog ak énergie mooy nawek di ñu koo liggéeyee mun a am courant bu doy ci réew mi courant boo xam ne mun nañ koo fay te duñu rey courant boo xam ne dina am every time du nekk comme la suma benn xarit dañ ko mun a jumping lights dañoo fee di taal di lakk suñu alal yëpp ci kër gi loolu dafa war a jeex te mun nañ ko ci réew mi parce que li ñoo def rek mooy samp ay solar plants nga xam ne duñ dem jëndi heavy fuel oil duñ def nañ mën a am courant bu doy ci réew mi yoo xam ne mun nañ koo jënd so yooyu lañ jublu ñun mooy suñ 5 point agenda bi am na yeneen ñu war a def waaye yii la ñoo dooree suñ toogee ci réew mi nga xam ne ñu mën a change lu bëri ci lu gaaw nañ ko door ci téeméeri fan yu njëkk yi du yëpp du mën a sotti ci téeméeri fan yooyu waaye nañ ko ci door nag door ci dugal xaalis yi réew mi waaye ñi lañ daan jox secteur si comme président Sow fi ñu ko jox xaalis bu dul jeex pour mu bàyyee ko nañ ko wàññi dañ ko jox te mu ngi door si dem mid di farmer store xaalis bi mu ciy dugal jaru ko dañ waay yooyu dañ ko wàññi bu baax a baax a baax dañ wàññi lu ñuy jox ministry of finance yow ministry of foreign affairs et cetera nañ wàññi yëpp dugal ko fa xam ne fa la suñ mbir yi wala mën a sottee mooy njàng bi paj bi béy bi ak jàngal suñ doom sax leen liggéey so loolu lañ bëgg a xalaat pour wax leen ko tey ne loolu la ñoo door di waxtaanee ak yéen semaine bu nekk nañ fi ñëw nag waxtaanee loolu wan leen la UDP di def suñ toogee yi mooy yéene bi ñu am ci réew mi ak liñ leen digg mooy social contract bi nañ ko waxtaanee nag léegi ngeen xam li ñu ñoo def ñun duñ em ci wax li ñuy li ñoo def ci lu bon nañ leen wax li ñu war a def so fa la ñoo bàyyi kàddu gi léegi fa lañ ko daanalee di leen sant di leen gërëm di leen ñaanal yéen ñëpp fan bu gudd ak wér gu yaram yàlla yokkal leen xéewal ak sutura jërëjëf jëf.
I want to say something about the fifth one, energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody sent me a message this morning.
Mm-hmm.
NAWEC is sending water disconnection notices to all the households.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Water disconnection notices. But the downside of that is that for people who have not been having water for a number of years, and Kotu is one of them, Kololi is part of them, and parts of Manjai.
And Kirsiri.
Yeah. So they are not giving you water, but they bill you every month.
Yes.
And when you engage the guys who bring your bill, they say, no, it's just an estimate.
Yeah.
Now they are saying you have to pay that estimate in terms of arrears. If you don't, you know what they do?
Mm-hmm.
They disconnect your electricity.
The two are not related.
The two are not related.
Oh, Lord. That's blackmail.
No, it's extortion.
Yeah, extortion, exactly.
It's extortion.
Yeah.
You don't get water for a number of years. And now there are listeners out there who will tell you they have not had water from NAWEC for years. So they come, they give you an estimate every month, and they expect you to pay that estimate. If you don't pay it, they come and disconnect your electricity, even though you bought your cash power.
Yeah. You bought your meter, you pay for your cash power, and they disconnect you because they can't supply you water.
They can't supply you water.
And this is this is, as you said, this is extortion. These are the same people, I said it here once on a program, who came to my house one day, and they came with a bill. And they said, Uncle, it's for your water bill. I've not been paying for a long time. I said, really? He said, yeah. I grabbed him by the hand. I said, come inside. He said, no, come inside. He came inside. I said, that is your tap. That's your meter next to it there.
Yeah.
Go open it and see. He said, what? I said, just go open it then. He opened the tap. Of course, there was no water.
No water.
I said, I stopped having water from you 5 years ago.
Yeah. Same here.
I sank a borehole for my house and I give water to neighbors. So you haven't supplied me water for 5 years. How did you send me a bill?
Yeah.
When did I consume that water? But they still brought that. I said, no, Uncle, let me mistake because I'm mistake mooy lan. Da nga ma bëgg a sàcc su ma doon use seen ndox te di kon tey dog ngeen ko.
Yeah.
Feeloo ma loo xam ne war ma koo fay parce que consumer ndox boobu noonu. So ci keroog su ma doon consume ndox nañ ma doon toroxal keroog. waaye because yu su ma nawee seen ndox bi moo tax ñu stop dem ruslu mu rus génn. te ñu ngi ko def ñu bëri ci réew mi dañoo toog rek bill yónnee la bill boo xam ne fantaisiste.
They are parts of.
parce que ñu ngi war a fay bor ñu ngi koo fay ñun seen bor yi ñu ñoo koo fay. ba pare ñu bëgg ñoo teg beneen coono boole ci. loolu mooy lan.
Mbade mandinkol mbe kacha kuntula men na dron wala munyenti ko nawek nkol be takan dulal to taring be notice o di kay la ko be la jio kuntula katu mela ji bilojo bar mol soto tal men ya lon ko sanji lulu fotan iban jio soto ni nawek mol nyinen ke ka fo en ka hapule dron so nyin hapojo say mol mem man son na nyin hapo jola ni menu mam ba kalama fereng ika notice onati ko e kombina mbela jio kuntula ibuka jio mendi mole be o kuntula nyaati
exactly.
Bari buka amanta woto de imanna puruka jio kuntu inatale puruke la lampo kuntu pour wasite forcer yetaye jio nyinjo katu lampo e fangala ka cash power san
ite fon le mita fanansa
ite fang fane mita san so jio ko ning lampu ko manke ku
kili man
ñoo soto fen so si wo faale je ko nin nawek fanam bella moy kay sa lon ko be menke ka manke siloti e kanta mol la lampol kuntu sa ko mol men ya lon ko buka jio dila ni jio dila ni majo nte te mo defend la wala ni jio dila service lam ko dole ka service di ajo bar ni ma dila yena ko mbe nyine jola ni ma o jombina la mbela jio kuntula bar ni dunte bukata jio mita fangoto according to nyim message ibukata ji mita to ikata straight ila electricity mita la to ya kuntu pour woyete forcer ye o jiojo
o manyen na kela
andum electricity mu kuleti me alon ko ila kodo ikawole jo pour ka cash power sang
yalla isayde fidena wulindol
waaw
fidena wulindol la kato momi yalla ko ka jiyo diala abala ko ala mita sang abala kurango jola ka spawala ina ay ko yewola mita kuntu ala kurango mita kuntu parce que man jiyo min dele ko yewole forcer jo iman jiyo min dele ko joro na kanta jola kato ka jidin ikan sila kurango kuntu kurango ni jiyo na wekle ke be di bari man nyosuto fenna ikibe jo fayele iman ke bil kilindi so mona be courant kuntu ni mari man jele jo e kana fitino wule ni banko kam e kana
mol batan
ko e ko mom jiso kama kana nyekero ke oda kono mol jiso be maka nyimba ko nyekero ke da ko ni min soto je fo lew nyini e kana mol tonyen e kana fitino wule ni banko kam so e kunta yabula
afo in Wolof just
a
synopsis of it so we are over time
ngeen jégal ma dellu si tuuti rek parce que laare am na lu ma wax léegi nii loolu dafa doy waar ñu ne nawet ñu ngi yónnee nit ñi xaalis notice ne dañoo dog seen ndox parce que fay ñu ndox te ñoo xam ne toog nañ ay weer u ay at amuñ ndox seen kër ñu toog seen office rek bindal leen bills yónnee leen ko ñu fayuñ ko su nekk ñu ngi yónnee notice ne ñoo dog seen ndox waaye balaa ngaa dog suma ndox kay na nga jox ma ndox aw man ndox nga ne ba da nga koo dog so li ñoo wax nag I hope ne du dégg waaye su fekkee ne dégg la. ñoo dañoo ñëw dañoo dog si sa ndox dugg si kër waaye duñ jëm ci water meter ñoo dem ci électricité dog électricité bi. pour forcer la nga fay ndox. bu fekkee ne ñu ngi def loolu bon dañ ko war a émaler stop ko. bul toog di tooñ nit ñi ku jënd meter courant di jënd cash power pour am courant ci kër gi nga ñëw bugg a dog courant parce que problème yi ndox boo xam ne joxuloo ko nawet buñ ko defee ñoom ñoo ee fitna ci réew mi bu fi kenn ee fitna nañ bàyyi li ñoo njublam gi doy na ci réew mi koo xam ne xelamaa ngee teey bu ko sexal jën bu toggul bu wuccu sa ko yaa ko def so nañ bàyyi xel.
If this is true, they should stop it.
I hope ne li ñoo wax I hope ne du dégg waaye am na ñu ko bind di ñu ko wax te I hope ne loolu du dégg naa duñ ko sañ a def waaye buñ ko sañee def liñ ci jëlee ñoom ñoo ko tal seen bopp kenn bugg fi fitna kenn bugg réew mi yëngatu waaye nag tooñante nag doy na te li ñoo wax nañ ko déglu na gaa yi nawet junju doy na borom xel jërëjëf.
Okay, our viewers both at home and abroad, we thank you very much for listening to us, for allowing us to come into your living rooms. We thank you very much. We'll see you next Thursday, inshallah.